Welcome back. President Cyril Ramaphosa said back at former President Thabo Mbeki's criticism of government's failure to address the country's unemployment and poverty levels. Last week, Mbeki said that he feared that South Africa may have its own Arab Spring moment, but the former president is not alone in his thoughts. In fact, in a recent opinion piece in the Sunday Times, Mike Siluma believes that there are telltale signs that the state is losing the battle to hold the line between social order and anarchy. We can speak about that piece and the broader picture with Mike Siluma, who's joining us now. Very good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to Daytime Update. When you reflect on why you penned this piece, I wonder what the main concerns were for you looking at South Africa today.
I think that what struck me, Tamegile, was that when you look at the lawlessness that manifests itself, in different parts of the country today, in the different incidents or incidences thereof would appear to be completely separate occurrences. For example, if the problem that we've had for a long time on the Cape Flats with gangsterism and drug trafficking, if you look at now what recently emerged, what are called the construction mafia, the people who go onto a construction site and they demand either a take a part of the total value of the contract, or they demand that people prepared by them be employed, etc. And then you look at what's happening with the Zamazamas, where people are mining unregulated, and you've got gangsterism there, where they are carving up mining properties, among themselves, without anyone actually, taking notice. And then you have the shootings, in the taverns, etc. So if you, and also last year's violence in KwaZulu-Natal, cumulatively, if you pull them together, you can actually see that the common thread that's running through is the inability of the state to assert itself, either in terms of maintaining order when there is disorder, but also to bringing to book the people who are responsible for causing disorder.
And why is the state unable to stop that? Because, you write in your piece about how important it is to stop the march of criminality, to use your phrasing.
I think what has happened, the roots of the lawlessness that is happening, it's a combination of things. But historically, you remember in the dying days of apartheid, there was a move and a call by the liberation movement to make South Africa ungovernable. And my view is that ever since, even after 1994, South Africa has never really been properly governed or governable. And then what you also have, cumulatively to that, is that you have got a government that then comes in and does not want to be seen to be too draconian. So all kinds of behaviors, like blockading the N-trade, which is a very important arterial road for the country, for the country's economy, for example. People are able to do that, to just block a whole highway, when we are unhappy about something, we set things on fire, even property, public property that is meant to help us, we set it on fire, and there are no consequences. I think that we misunderstood the expression of our democratic right to speak and to express our views for chaos. That in order to express our views, anything goes, and we have a right.
The challenge,
part
though,
of that to cause public destruction.
The challenge in South Africa, and perhaps this can also go back to even the apartheid era, is that while violence is condemned, and perhaps rightfully so, violence, as we've come to witness at least, whether people agree or not, in this country, gets a reaction. And very often, that's what many people are looking for, is it not?
No, I think that that has become the culture, but I think that it is a wrong culture, and it is a culture that should be discouraged. And in fact, it's a culture that needs to be confronted. I think that in a lot of instances, there are grievances which are valid, which are justified. But in other instances, for example, there is no way that we can say, for example, the ongoing gangsterism that's happening in the Western Cape is justifiable. Mm-hmm. There are grievances that justify holding a whole community to ransom as is happening, for example, in Khayelitsha and other places, where gangsters are actually extracting money. They're extorting, the communities basically, and in some instances they are co-running the community, in the sense that the police are unable to help the communities. If I refer in my piece to a previous piece that was written by Lukona Mbui, where he was referring to how in some instances communities trying to complain to the police are redirected by the police to the gangsters. I don't think there can be a grievance that is to justify that kind of chaos and disintegration of order in society.
Which brings me to another point that you make about whether South Africa is going to be or could be run by bandits in a scenario that you depict as a scenario where you'd have corrupt police elements along with corrupt government officials basically running the show as the country continues to decay. How close are we skating to that point of ultimate collapse?
I think in many ways, Thembekile, we are there. We have already veered down. We're at the top of the slope, if you like. If you look at the matter of Babita Deokaran in Gauteng, the lady who was killed was the whistleblower. I think that she would have been killed because there are people inside the department who are actually either are wanting and planning for her to be removed, or who are collaborating with people outside who are criminals who are wanting to control what is happening in the department. So we are there. If you look at, I think a couple of weeks ago, the representative of the construction companies was reporting that in a lot of the sites where they're trying to work, they have people rocking up and basically being told that you either pay us or you employ our friends, or this project is not going to happen. And there are a couple of instances around the country where, for example, construction projects cannot go ahead because they are being held to ransom by gangsters, and the state is unable. In some instances, it's even hospitals that are not able to function, that are standing, are not able to function because somebody is holding them to ransom, because they want basically to meet their own personal or parochial interests as a group.
Is the state then even capable of stopping this situation getting worse, given what you've laid out?
I think that the state we are at a stage where, and again, I was saying in my piece that the grasp of the state over the whole project of maintaining order is slipping, and it has slipped in many instances in society. And I think that unless we take it more seriously and we demand of our elected leaders to make sure that drift, as it were, is contained, it can only get worse. 5 years, 10 years ago, we never had a construction mafia. Now we do have it. So it is those kinds of telltale signs that shows you that we actually are already drifting down that road, down that route. If you look at the lady who was killed that I was referring to earlier, if people can be killed like that, simply for being whistleblowers, and it does not look like the state is able to even protect them, to protect whistleblowers, for example, in our society, then it shows that we actually have already started our drift, our slide down the slope.
So we've seen this rise in opposition parties, NGOs, so civil society, taking government to court to force certain actions, be it for the benefit of a poor community or for accountability in some respects, when you look at what's unfolded in Parliament in the last decade and a half, right? What becomes the role then of civil society and us, the people, in saving South Africa or what's left of the country?
I think that with the advent of 1994, what happened was that society became demobilized, and all faith and all trust was put in the state, that the state knows better, or the governing party knows better, and it will do things the right way. And I think that that demobilization of society needs to be reversed, so the society is more engaged, both at a civic level but at a political level, so that we hold our political representatives to account in a more direct way. And that is why that is why it is a good thing that currently there is a debate in Parliament about reforms to the electoral legislation, so that public representatives are more directly accountable to citizens, who vote them into those positions to represent them, as opposed to political parties who sit as a foil between the elector and the representatives.
Mr. Mike Siluma, a pleasure to have you on the program today. Thank you very much for your time.